Hi, it's that time again for another episode of Astrology Web Clips specializing in asteroids. Today, I thought it would be fun to look at a chart. I'm going to use the Aries Point today because everyone experiences the Aries Point, even if it's just something you heard in the news. That way, it's an easy way for us to subtly learn those asteroids and how they can affect us on a day-to-day life. But for those people who are either students of astrology, or if you're someone who is going through something, job interview, special meeting, we also do as astrologers something called daily angles. And one of the products that I do for clients would be a daily angle. And as an astrologer, it's one of the ways in which I learned about the asteroids. I did on a daily basis my daily angles. So just a suggestion, but the Aries Point works very, very well. And if you have a personal point at the Aries Point, it works even better. So today, we're going to be working from a dial. So I'm going to explain the dial to you. If you would like further information about the dial, there is more information on my website at www.divinationcounselingservice.org. There I have a web clip and an article, all based in the dial. But for our purposes today, just as a short review, just to give you a kind of an idea of what we work with here as astrologers, here we see an arrow. Points to the top up here. Down at the bottom, the very bottom, you can see that it stretches all the way from the 0 point of Aries down to the 15 degrees of fixed at the very bottom. Okay? Now there's also a line that goes across, ironically not where the red line is today, but right below it, actually, at 2230 of cardinal. So right around here, I want to say right below that line, you'd go straight across. It comes out at the other end at about 7.5 degrees of mutable. So that will be our axis that we're going to work with today, the arms of the Aries Point. Now, you may notice, though it's not really good for you to see, but perhaps you noticed there is a double ring here. The outside ring are my asteroids. Unfortunately, this program doesn't hold as many as I work with, so I have an additional list that I work with. And then what I do is I can add them in if I want to see what it looks like, or I create a smaller chart for myself and add in what asteroids I think are important. For the list today, I'm using one of my smaller lists because I'm looking at more mundane asteroids, because I think, again, they're the easiest to begin to work with. I also wanted to show that in this software, we can also use a regular chart. There's our regular chart. Now, of course, I have everything and the kitchen sink in my chart. And again, you see that it's double ringed. The outer circle, once again, are the asteroids. The inner circle would be the personal points, the planets, the trans-Neptunians, all the other little factors. So the chart gets really full. That's why sometimes working from a list, creating smaller wheels or smaller dials, meaning less information, can help us get what we need. So that little brief introduction brings us to today's list. So the interactive chart I want to work with today is, I don't know, we can't see it there, it's April 24th, 2019. I'm using 11:19 on Eastern Standard Time as my time that I'm going to be working with, close to noon. I think if you went with a noon chart, you'd come up just fine. But I wanted to point out this chart, the reason why I used it. And again, this is interesting because this chart features an Aries Point ascendant. The ascendant on the chart we're working with, this is why I chose it, is just a degree, less than 5 minutes, over the Aries point at 23 degrees, 25 minutes of Cancer. I thought, you know what, I got to go with this chart. So that's why I'm using it. The other reason why I'm using it is because one of the first asteroids that jumped off the paper was Poseidon. Poseidon is a trans-Neptunian, but it also has a counterpart called Poseidon A. Poseidon A has a similar interpretation. Media, education, absolutely perfect for what we're going to be working with today. So we're going to continue to learn. At this point, I want to point out that there are many, many asteroids that fall at the Aries point. Our job as astrologer is to choose what's relevant. Now, in the case of what I'm doing today, I'm going to throw a lot of stuff out there. But for your learning purposes, you might want to start with a smaller list and begin to add in and incorporate more when you feel more confident, okay? So I'm going to start off, my next asteroid is Minerva. And Minerva is here as well as Demeter. These are two asteroids that have interpretations that are exactly like two of the big four. Minerva is exactly like Pallas in so many ways. Pallas being one of the big four. The big four is a place where many astrologers begin their studies of asteroids. The big four are said to be the leaders of the asteroid and the asteroid belt. Sirius, of course, being almost large enough to be a small planet. Sirius is the counterpart of Demeter. So they can interchange their interpretations. We have two of them in here today, making this a really good, easy day to begin to utilize that Aries point and what you can learn from it. Also, I would like to point out that right now Pluto is in the Aries axis. That means that many things are out of our control. And that's what we're going to be hearing in the news, in the media. There are many things that are out of our control. This could be, on a personal level, dealing with debts and finances. But on a bigger level, it could be anything that causes an economic struggle on the larger scale because it's out of our control, totally out of our control. So much that's going on right now is out of our control. Another really good example would be some of the things that the president is going through right now because of his behavior, or let's go right back here to the astrology. Apparently lies also show up here. So lying does set a bad preface in any situation. So lying is one of the asteroids for today. Could it be that there's a lot out of our control that is why we're lying? Or we're lying because we're not acknowledging that some things are out of our control when they really are. You're looking at lying from Delbruck, but you're also looking at lying from Perkin. Because Perkin, though he was not discussed last week like Delbruck was in my last web clip, in the case of Perkin, he is actually a pretender. This is somebody who pretends to be something that they're not. So it's another form of lying, and surely I could have put that and included that in last week's work. However, it showed up for today's work. So somebody's pretending. Pretending is another way of lying. Now here, we want to be very careful. This is where it becomes a learning lesson, because website, Lee, is already here. Lee is one of our asteroids that represents the internet, or the websites in particular. Here we could be finding that there's information that perhaps is not true on these websites. Lee, Delbruck, Perkin. What are people pretending? Are they pretending because something is out of their control? It's a way to maintain control. All of this will be in the news. The other thing I heard in the news today was they are starting to make arrests in the drug companies because of the opioid problem. Bacchus, health, a scapula, the fact that what's happening is Pluto. It's happening as something bigger. It's out of everybody's control because the drug problem is out of control. Also because there could have been lies, Delbrook, because you got to look at everything. You also have to think about, on a personal level or even related to something going on in the public eye. And again, we could include the president here. Is it the fact that things are out of control? Is the fact that somebody's lying out of control? The fact that somebody isn't what they are pretending to be? Could all of this be humiliating? Surely could be, because it's Williams. Could it all be something that we never saw coming, that we, in our intuition, if you will, just didn't come out the way we thought it would? That's Pythia. All of this relates to what's going on in the world. Poseidon happens to be the media. But here's a more mundane way of looking at it. I have a chart that actually has an interesting Aries point. So today I went out on the internet for two different things. Irony, they're both in here. First, I went out Minerva to plan my meal for the evening, Demeter. So we have a Minerva, Demeter, Lee. I went to a website and found my recipe. I also can point out here that I also went out to work on some medical astrology. So I went to a website to gather information, Poseidon, on health matters, and I did. The amour also shows up. Amour is when we have boundaries, particularly with those that we love, maybe because things are out of control. So here we look at Perkin, amour. We can look at Pythia here. We can look at lies here. We can look at even drugs here. Somebody could be lying, and it's just getting worse because there's other asteroids that I have not talked about with you yet, Dolores being one, that shows that things could be getting worse, okay? But another asteroid that's even more descriptive, that's highly accurate here, would be, why God me? Why God me? Although I can't imagine any Pluto transit going on without a why God me. And Pluto and why God me are both in the axis. So I'm going to leave it at that today. I really wanted to get started on looking at asteroids in this manner. I would like to continue that, so I'm sure this won't be the last time I choose to look at charts in this manner. But I hope that you're gleaning information and that you're gaining as much from this as I am gaining and giving it to you. With that said, I would like to, just for a moment, promote myself. I am an astrologer. I've been a professional astrologer for more than 40 years. I have a lot of experience under my belt. I have done numerous solar returns, lunar returns, natal charts, secondary progress. I have done daily angles. So if you have an astrology need, question, you can come and get in contact with me either through my website at divinationcounselingservice.org, or you can reach me directly at Colleen Schmidt, SCHMIDT, 999 at gmail.com. And I would welcome your questions. I welcome any of it, because my quest in life is to get out there and share my astrology knowledge. Have a great day.